This conference will now be recorded.
I'm going to do that over again so that it's in the minutes, please.
Yes,
So can
please.
I have a
Thank you.
motion? Can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
Dave Sherman, motion to accept.
I'll second. Lance Ronis.
Lance Cronus seconds. Unless you object, if somebody objects, they can speak now, or else I'm going to assume that the motion is approved. Okay, going on to the treasurer's report. I do not believe that Jay sent it out, but I can give you the figures. Between our checking and our savings, we have $14,006.30. I would like to, at this time, have a moment of silence. We've had a couple firefighters lose their life in New York State, one within our area here in the last few weeks. So let's have a moment of silence in their memory. Thank you. I would also like to ask folks to keep Liz Donnelly in their prayers. Liz Donnelly, if anybody that has anything to do with training and education has dealt with Liz in the past, and she's experienced a medical emergency and is currently out of work in a rehab, hoping to make a recovery and be back to work. But we need to let Liz know that our prayers go out to her and hope that she has a speedy recovery. Next thing we have is yep.
Debbie, I'm sorry. If it's all right, I'd also like to announce many members on here remember Mike Jennings. His wife passed away last week, so I just wanted to, those who may not already be aware. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Were they down south?
Yes, they were in Florida.
Sorry to hear that. Go on to the enforcement lists. The first enforcement is from February 2nd. Assessed a civil penalty of $25,000. Of that, $12,500 is suspended pending completion of a 2-year period of improved performance effective 1/22/21. Engage a consultant from the New York City REMSCO to assist the agency with Part 800 and Article 30 compliance. Submit a plan of correction within 30 days of 1/22/21. Submit a current DOH 1811 within 30 days of the plan of correction. Vehicle fleet is limited to the number in the service as of 8/16/19. Upon completion with the plan of correction and improved inspections for 6 months, the department will accept certifications for additional vehicles. For violations of Article 30, Section 3012(1)B, and Part 800, 800.21, 800.3, 800.24, and 800.23. Citywide Mobile Response Corp in Bronx, New York. The next one is dated February 2nd as well. Suspended for 1 year effective 1/19/21. The suspension is stayed pending no further violations for a period of 3 years. Assessed a civil penalty of $2,000 for violations of Part 800.23A and Public Health Law Article 3012(1)B. South Farmington Dale Department in South Farmington, New York. Third one's dated February 23rd. Surrendered effective 2/17/21 for violations of Part 800.16A and A7. Andre Volick from Brooklyn, New York. And the last one, March 30th. Suspended for 1 year effective 3/23/21. The suspension is stayed. Placed on probation for 3 years effective 3/23/21. Assessed a civil penalty of $2,000 for violations of Part 800.15(3) and 800.16A13. Benjamin Tesmer from Hamburg, New York. Those are the enforcements that I have. Is there any other correspondence that anybody has?
Yes, Debbie, we received the notifications for approval of community paramedic vaccine programs. for Governor Rescue and South Jefferson Rescue. We also received notifications for all the rest of them across the state, but those are the only two in our region so far.
Thank you. Go on to committee reports. Mark, Air Medical.
Good evening from the sunny South Carolina. The reports were circulated by Jonathan. Thank you. If you do the comparison 2020 to 2021 for first quarter, you'll see weather was not the front of Air Medical in the first quarter of 2021. 20 flights completed in the first quarter versus 55 from the comparison quarter of 2020. In addition to that, you should the LifeNet of New York education went off very successful in March with 402 registrants on the airway. We're already close to, I think we're a little over 200 registrants now. The April education is this Thursday, April the 7th. It's on OB. The flyer was circulated. You can register for that at lifenetcenight.com. Again, that's lifenetcenight.com. Also, you'll note there, one of the common questions, obviously, in the air medical world is cost. And an out-of-pocket flyer was distributed. You should have seen that going around. It was circulated on an email. Average New York State out-of-pocket cost specific to LifeNet in New York is $206. Any specific questions relative to that can go to Colleen Gleason, who is our account representative. I'm not sure if Colleen's on the call, but her number was listed there as well. For Air Medical, that's pretty much all I have, unless Matt Yelton has something specific from Mercy Flight Central.
Yeah, our quarterly report comes out this week. Dusty will be working on those over the next couple of nights to get those out to all the clearinghouse counties and then the North Country. As far as the webinar coming up in April, mid-April on the 14th, we actually maxed out at registration and capped ours at 500 just to test and tune some new IT equipment. But topics include extrication versus amputation, toxicology, not your typical alcohol intoxication, all the different nuances of the different types of alcohol intoxication. And then one of the really popular topics we're doing is actually canine resuscitation, with a dual presentation between a canine handler for the Ontario County Sheriff's Office and then their actual veterinarian that they use for emergency medicine purposes, Kim Williams. So we look forward to a pretty successful April event. Our next one will be probably in July, but we plan on doing our fall one in person, hopefully, in Vernon Downs. So other than that, like I said, expect the quarterly reports this week.
Awesome, and it's good to hear that both of you are having an amazing turnout from people taking advantage of this training. So that's very nice to hear. People should not have any trouble getting their CME hours with all this wonderful training that's being offered throughout the state. Any questions for Air Medical?
Just one thing to add, I think folks know, but for the LifeNet education, the presenters are either CICs or the CIC is signing off on those. So when the certificates go out, it meets all the requirement for the New York State credits accordingly.
Our certificates also meet the requirements and are vetted by a CIC in-house.
Awesome. Next thing is auditing. I continue to work closely with Jonathan. Jay forwards him the monthly treasurer reports, and Jonathan reconciles them, and I do review those. So we are doing a review of that. Obviously not very many checks being written right now with, the state of everything that is happening. Bobby, anything for bylaw?
No bylaw report.
Okay. I'm not aware of any CON unless Ann, you know of something, but I haven't heard of any CONs or potential CONs coming.
So we had a request just last week about information on transferring a CON for St. Lawrence County Fire Department, who I heard has now become a fire district. So I haven't had any response since we sent them all the information or confirmation on what they're doing. And then there's a couple other potential clarifications of operating territory that we're tracking, but nothing that has come to fruition or hit our desk yet.
So I guess with that being said, there is a potential that we might have to have a meeting before June 15th if they come in and they're deemed complete. So folks, if that has to happen, look for an email saying that we need to have a meeting on a CON. And again, we will do it virtual to take care of that. Executive, we did have an executive committee meeting last week. We went over the applications that have been submitted to fill the REMAC positions. And do you want to pull that up and we will let folks know who's being appointed to fill vacancies on REMAC? So I'm happy to report that we did get some applications in to fill positions. So the first one was a BLS provider for Jefferson County, and Brian Draper is going to replace Bobby Simpson, and he will be on for a 2-year term. The executive committee is going to look at the county representative, and we will be removing the expiration dates for the county executives because those should be appointed positions for that county and not necessarily tied to a name, but to whoever's in those type positions. For Lewis County, Robert Bowman is replacing Matt Yelton as our BLS provider. In St. Lawrence County, Jen Hines will be staying on as we did not get any BLS agency or BLS people apply for that. So we're going to keep Jen on. And Mark Devers is being replaced by Justin Batla. I don't know if I'm saying that right, Batla. And he is a paramedic who runs in Syracuse and also works up in St. Lawrence County. And don't anybody think we're letting Mr. Devers off the hook. He's going to be staying the RSI person and will be very involved with things that go on REMAC. So I do want to remind everybody that the REMAC meetings are open. Even if you're not on the committee, you can attend and give input. And when it comes down to voting, it is the ER docs that vote on that. But we also like to have input and other thoughts and information when they are looking at policies and looking at things. So please feel free to attend that. That's at 4:30 the same time, same day as this meeting. We do that one first. And anybody is welcome to join us.
Debbie. So I was correct in the fact that I didn't have any BLS providers, but you know what I forgot? I did have an AEMT, and that's what the decision was.
Oh, yep, you're right.
And that's Daniel Druznik. I might be pronouncing his name wrong, but from Potsdam Rescue. And I will reach out to Jen Hines myself.
Okay.
And let her know that.
Okay. Yeah, now that you say that, you are right. We decided to put that person in that.
That's my error. I'm putting J because I can't.
So they will be getting letters, putting them on. We had a couple other executive things that Ann will cover under either her program agency or REMAC. We talked a little bit about fentanyl and some of that stuff. So we will cover that under one of the other topics. Next thing is legislation. Dave, do you have anything?
No, we did not have any meetings, but I do want to point out for those who are billing agencies, the government, if you're aware, the governor's budget's not finalized yet unless it happened today. But I was made aware that the Medicaid crossovers and Medicaid supplements remained in both one house bills. They were not being looked at being pulled. as far as the legislators go. So we just have to wait to see if that's still finalized in the governor's budget. Other than that, I don't have anything to report.
Some of us from the region are participating in the virtual EMS on the Hill Day. Myself, I know Mark Devers and Amanda Henry from Carthage. And I'm not sure if there was anybody else. Lance, maybe were you participating? Did I see your name on that list?
Yes.
And Mike Bennett. So we have some new folks that are participating in this. Typically in the past, we go down there and we run ragged between buildings to get to our next appointment, but these are going to be virtual, and there's a few bills that are being looked at. So we will share how that goes, meeting with the legislators at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Carol, anything on membership?
I haven't heard anything. The only thing I've seen were the two that were asking to join REMAC. And that's all
Okay.
I've seen.
Jonathan, if you could make a note maybe to get to Carol and myself in the next couple of weeks, our attendance, so we can look at that and make sure that folks are meeting the requirements, and if not, we can evaluate that and see where we're at, and if we need to get some new people on, I would appreciate it. Dottie, I understand is on, however, does not have the ability to talk. She doesn't have a microphone with her computer. So Bobby, could you handle the nominating and who have been nominated to fill the vacancies, please, for officers?
Sure. The nominating committee has reached out to the present people in office for president and secretary. Debbie Singleton has graciously agreed for another year or another term.
Yeah, these are 2-year terms.
You muted yourself, Bobby.
Maybe on purpose, Jonathan.
So,
So do you want me to do the election thing? Is that what you're
yes,
telling me?
please. Yes.
We have Debbie Singleton up for president. Are there any other nominations
Chair.
from the floor?
Chair. Bobby, chair.
I can't. I don't know how to share. Share.
No,
I see it.
I said chair, not share. Chair, not president.
Look it. Okay. She just doesn't want to be president. She wants to be the chair. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Any other nominations for chair from the floor? Was that 3?
It's 2.
Are there any other nominations for chair from the floor?
Seeing none, I move that the secretary cast one ballot. And this motion carries.
So we
Okay.
have a motion to close the balloting, and that the secretary cast one ballot for myself as chair, and I heard a second.
Larry Gerard.
Larry Gerard. Keep going, Bobby.
Okay. Do I have to do we just did one vote, correct?
Correct.
Okay, for secretary, we have
Mhm.
Dave Sherman, who's presently in the position. Are there any other nominations for secretary from the floor? Any other nominations for secretary from the floor?
I nominate Karen Blackburn.
Karen Blackbird. Is that right? Ford?
Karen, you've been
Yes.
nominated for secretary. Accept the nomination.
Sure.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Karen Blackburn for secretary. One more time, Bobby.
Any other nominations for secretary from the floor?
Okay, how are we going to do this?
Jonathan's gonna have to do a roll.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to make people have to do a roll call to do that.
Can you text to Jonathan?
Perhaps we do it by email. It won't be done tonight, but we can do it by email. That way everybody can be individually polled.
Text it in there.
Or you could put it, we could put it in the chat room here to Jonathan. You can do it. You can do a message to Jonathan Cole as organizer so that we could do the elections here, and you can indicate who you want, either Karen or Dave for secretary, so that we could continue on with this.
I'm not sure how to do this.
So you go up to the top and you'll see up in the right-hand corner of your computer, you'll see a little white round circle with a little line down from it that means chat. So you're going to hit that and it's going to open it.
Bubble.
And then you're going to put in the message, who you want. And then 2, you're going to change it to Jonathan Cole, organizer, and hit send.
Not to be a Robert's Rules guy, but is that recorded? Or do we need to do a roll call vote?
I don't think it's fair. People shouldn't have to say who they're voting for in a roll call vote for an election.
It will be, the chat log is recorded.
Okay.
Somebody's got to help me.
Be not to be a Robert's Rules guy. What did the bylaws say and how you vote? Does it say it is does it say roll call, or does it say
It says ballot for elections.
ballot? Okay.
We've always done private ballot, John, for elections.
Okay. Just you maybe want to be sensitive to that in this issue.
Carol, is it you that said you need help?
Yes, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Are you
On the right-hand side, I've got a circle with like an I in it. The letter I or something?
No, in the go to
Oh,
Jonathan
on the other
Cole.
side, Carol, next to the person.
Go
right
to
hand.
Oh, I see it. I see it. Okay.
Upper,
the little circle up in the corner, Jonathan's block. Click on that, and then you'll be sending a private. I just sent a private message to Jonathan. If anybody else got it, what it said test, then we aren't where we want to be. But he did say he did reply to me and say he got it. So unless somebody else saw that test message, it's a scare way of voting.
It did not come to anybody else. I do not have it, Larry.
All you do is
circle to choose Jonathan. It should go straight to him.
I don't know. Okay, I see where it is. Okay. Organizer and okay.
How's
Sorry about
everybody?
that, guys. It's been a long day.
Are they coming in, Jonathan?
Dave.
They are. Just give me a minute because it came fast.
That's good. So let's see how many you should have. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Looks like you should have 20.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm at 16 right now.
Debbie, there's a question in the chat that says, should we not vote this way?
Yeah, I see that.
How, Mark, how would you propose that we vote?
It was from Mark Dalton.
Mark Dalton, how do you think we should vote?
Should this be via email?
What's the difference? This way is recorded, just like if he would have to print out all those emails.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll go on and come back to the results of that. Mark Peer.
I have no report at this time.
I think we should just mention quickly that on the statewide call last week, they mentioned that the state awards are opening up. And to remind folks that we should be submitting people from our region and that we need to, Carol, could you mute, please? There we go. And that they need to have the regional signature on them to submit them. The only one that does not are the innovative awards, but the ALS, BLS, all the others that we've always done in the past do have to come to the region. So start thinking about that. And as regional council members, you need to be the cheerleaders of getting out there and getting folks to submit people. It would be nice to have, one or two for each category that we can choose from. And please remember, we can't nominate somebody for just doing their job. We can't submit somebody that, they always are on time and they're always smiling and they help people and they're professional, and that there needs to be substance to the people that we're nominating. So let's make sure that we try to capture that and get people submitted for all of the categories.
Abby,
Yep.
I would ask this group's thought. I did send out to this group in the REMAC an article regarding 2 folks from Clarkson University that had an innovation that maybe they'd be considered for that award.
Yeah, those go directly. We're not limited on those. Those go directly in. So I agree, we should get those submitted.
All right, and then I have one other one that I have finished. I just need to figure out my font issue because it's not meeting requirements.
Okay, so folks, try to help us with this. Again, we need to be the cheerleaders. We need to get this out there and get folks to submit names. And program agency report and REMAC report.
All right. I'm not sure that we have sent out an announcement from the program agency on those, so we can go ahead and do that for the awards by the end of the week to see if we can round up some more.
And Mark, if we could get that poster done up, I will make sure we get it posted here in Jefferson County. If you can take care of St. Lawrence, and maybe somebody over in Lewis can post it at the hospitals for us.
Yeah, if you can just get me the information. I apologize, I wasn't on the state call last week.
Yep.
If you can just shoot me the due dates and stuff, I will get something made up by the end of the week.
Okay.
So when do you want them by, Debbie? They have to be, I believe, submitted to the state by July 1st.
So I think June 1st, because usually, like you mentioned, we get them in, the fonts aren't correct, and some of them we have to retype and everything. We just want to make sure that the committee can get together to review them ahead of time. So let's set the due date as June 1st, please.
Okay. All right, so at the REMAC meeting tonight, above and beyond what is in my report, they put together a committee to look at Versed dosing. There were a few patients that were behavioral emergencies that received 5 milligrams of Versed and later had to be intubated, although there may have been other factors that played into that, and there was some discussion on maybe using lower doses. So there is a committee together to look at that. We did pull a lot of data regarding that, and we'll be working with the committee to provide them that. We also reviewed a stroke data report that was put together, and it has some great educational points. I believe that was sent out as well. And one of the things that we have identified as we are starting to pull data is we now have to look at data integrity. So I will be reaching out to REMAC REMSCO members and basically, and it doesn't even necessarily need to be a member of the REMAC or REMSCO, but we are looking to put together a committee of folks that are versed in kind of the setup and available options and the mapping of their data systems. So we have a representative for each charting system that we have out there. For example, image trend, ESO, EMS charts, RAM AIM. So IPCR is the other one. I may have missed one, but that's the majority of them. That's going to be important as we move forward. Now that we have met the goal of having almost everybody electronic, that's going to be a huge part of us being able to be proactive with quality improvement as well. There were changes to the RSI policy that consisted of requiring the agencies to do quarterly skills on their video laryngoscope that they have specific to their agency. In addition, and then a wording change that the skills, not the quarterly skills, but the actual RSI. And Mark, what was the word for that? Which part of it? Now we ensure that you have to have the regional involvement in. Mark,
For the initial provider testing, the testing needs to be done by the regional medical director or their appointee.
yes, that's it. Thank you. The CQI policy was also updated to reflect that the ability to suspend providers lies within the service medical director realm. And at this point, the region will not be doing that, but we will be working closely with the service medical directors and assisting them with data and forwarding information to them as needed. So I'll share my screen here. I'll whip to the program agency report. All right, so the RSTAC March meeting was canceled. RTAC was held on March 19th. The next meeting will be June 11th. There was discussions about the new ACS standards and about virtual and on-site visits. They noted that Camp Potsdam Hospital, Governor Hospital, River Samaritan were live with telemedicine. There will be a Trauma Reach Conference April 14th and 15th, which is also free. And we sent that out to EMS agencies. Samaritan will be having an on-site ACS review for level 3 trauma center designation. They've also been providing trauma feedback to our agencies through the CQI coordinators. They are working on a process to try and do that through Hospital Hub, which is a data system that is part of our regional bridge as well. And again, it's important that agencies make sure the program agency has current CQI coordinators on file. We try to update them when we can. And they've been actually trying to verify with the agencies before sending data. But again, that takes a lot of time when we should be updated as they change. We did take the TXA concerns to them that were discussed at the last regional meetings, and the trauma surgeon, trauma folks that were there really were undecided about TXA. They weren't for it or against it. They will be drafting a formal letter for the regions. And of course, probably as all of us would rather see, we'd rather see blood on the ambulances, but that's where we are with that. As far as the approval of any of the protocols that were presented at the last meetings, there's been no communication back to us from the Collaborative Protocol Committee and or the state that any of them are approved or moving forward, and there's no regional education that's been developed for that because we don't know where they stand yet. And I will be talking with John Morrissey regarding that after the meetings tomorrow. So our stroke video that we put out, and we had the stipend for the first 120 agencies who had at least 50% of their providers complete that we reported last meeting. We've only received 37 rosters, 11 of which were from the North Country. But over 658 providers have watched the video and taken the test. 155 of those folks being here in the North Country. We are probably going to extend that through to June 1st to see if we can get some more folks done. We talked about a regional stroke policy feedback that we received, and that was some wording in there that caused some confusion. So basically the recommendation was should and may, or different levels of recommendation. Should would indicate a recommendation for something, but it's not a requirement. May means the providers can do it. So basically, after all was done, it was written that way intentionally, so providers have options without having to contact medical control. So
And
I thought that was, yes.
we have a question in the chat regarding RSI, asking who are the designees of the regional medical director.
So I think that who she designates to do the testing is when the testing is due. I think Dr. Maynard helped her out last time. Mark Devers, am I incorrect with that?
The plan is to have scheduled testing that is scheduled directly through Dr. Delaney, that she will ensure there's a physician that meets her comfort level present during that test. There should be another date coming in the next few days.
So it is the RSI testing as we move forward.
All right, we have two more questions in the chat, Ann. What are the ramifications of not having a CQI coordinator? And is the RSI testing at Spring Fling in Alex Bay 2020?
Okay, so I don't know the answer to whether it, well, we're not having Spring Fling. It's going to maybe be something different. I do not know the answer to that. It will be scheduled when they schedule it, and we'll send out notifications. The ramifications of not having a CQI coordinator are you won't get correspondence, or correspondence may not go to the right person. So whoever we have in our database, a CQI coordinator, is the person that we share as coordinator to SUNY Upstate so that they can give feedback. Or who we give the name to when there's a request for a CQI issue coming from another facility and they're looking to who to contact at the agency. Okay. And any other questions?
We do have a volunteer to work on the PCR data committee.
Thank you.
Mike Bennett.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So medical director changes that were approved, Tri-Town Rescue to Dr. Coates, Ogdensburg Fire Department to Dr. Howland. And I'm going to finish through with my report and then I'll go back in and answer questions, okay? Public access to fibrillation notifications, Jefferson County Development Corporation filed a new one. We received an updated one from Morristown Central School. Regional BLS adjuncts that were approved was Clarkson University First Responders pending receipt of their Wadsworth Limited Lab license. And our office also worked with Tri-Town and Ogdensburg Fire Department on updating their BLS adjunct forms with their new medical directors. So EPCR, as you can see, once Seaway Valley and Wellesley Island go live, we will be 100% electronic for transport agencies and ALSFRs, which means a few years ago, we set a goal of being there on April of 2021. So that's exciting that we're just about there. Hopefully by the end of the month, we'll be all set. And you can see the dates and the EPCR vendors that the remaining agencies are going with. So the BLSFRs, if anybody remember when they rolled out the new CME program, that to remain in the CME program, all agencies, including BLSFRs, would have to be on EPCR by the beginning of 2022. So the state does have a free platform now, not only for BLSFR, but for transporting entities. It's kind of just the bare bones platform, but they can purchase, the ability to bill and other, whatever you call them, other adjuncts to it if they want it. So we've been reaching out to some of the BLSFRs, and as you can see, some of them have already gone live. We have others that have made the decision on what they're going to do. We just have to get in there and get the paperwork filled out. The next one, whoops, went over too far. This gives you an idea overall. So we have 34 BLSFR agencies. Of those 34, only 11 are in the CME program currently. And 5 of which are in the CME program have submitted their EPCR applications. So there may be others considering getting into the CME program. So again, we are going to reach out to the rest of them. We're working on it a little bit at a time, as time allows. Of the remaining 6 of them, it will be crucial for them to continue their CME program, and we'll find out what the other 19 are planning on doing. There is discussion that policy statement 12.0 is at 3 that refers to the PCRs, maybe 1202, sorry, maybe updated, in which that would then require all BLSFRs to submit PCRs to the state, but I'm not sure whether that's going to happen or not. Time will tell with that. But right now, the only requirement is if they want to stay in the CME program. Otherwise, it's recommended for BLSFRs to submit data to the state bridge. Oops, sorry. We did send out a regional vaccination survey. It's been, what, a couple weeks, Jonathan, or a week and a half maybe. And we've gotten only a 28% response from our Tri-County agencies. And of the 757 members that they have reported, 365 are vaccinated, with 185 of those being certified and 167 support. One agency did report back that they couldn't do the survey because they don't track this vaccination status of the members. So we will be sending out a reminder to see if we can get some more agencies to answer that, just so we have an idea on the vaccination status, as I am frequently asked that question. Training, we're working, and Karen Blackburn, thank you, Karen, has been a big part of this. We're working with the AHECs that are listed here along with E5 support services on a virtual EMS leadership conference. Those are the dates. They will be short presentations. Not a full day event. So, and some of the presentations will repeat on different dates so that providers have more than one opportunity. Karen, did you want to add anything in about that?
No, when will we, once that schedule is finalized, we'll be pushing it out to everyone. And we're pretty close to having that all finalized, but I think it's going to be beneficial to a lot of people. Yeah, that's all that I really needed to say. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Karen. EM Resource, the second year contract was approved, so we're continuing to work on that. So we did send the bulk drug survey report or oh my goodness, the results from the survey to the committee. Also, New York State Department of Health Education Department did accept the application, or did state they would accept an application from Clarkson University as a replacement course sponsor. So the application has been submitted to the Ed and Training Committee for REMSCO. And again, a thank you to Jefferson County. And back to that, data integrity has consumed a huge portion of our time. And why we'll be putting that committee together. And the EMS memorial will be held September 30th. The end of my report. Any questions? And I think there was one in the chat, so let me get back to the chat. I can't see.
There is. I'm getting there.
I got it.
Okay.
So specifically testing for the RSI in 20. So this is an RSI question, Mark Devers. Specifically the testing for RSI in 2020 for RSI overseen by Mark Devers at the most recent spring fling event. Does this still stand?
I believe the most recent spring fling was in 2019, and to my knowledge, without having the policy statement right in front of me, it requires providers to re-credential on an annual basis. So without actually clarification from REMAC, that would be my best answer.
So Mark Dalton, I would suggest to work with Mark Devers directly on that question, if that's okay. All right, I guess so, Debbie. And no other questions for me. I'm all set.
Okay, we'll keep moving. Larry, safety?
Get my mouse back over in the right spot there. Nothing at this time unless somebody's got an issue they want to bring up.
Been a lot of fatalities lately involving ambulance accidents. Another one yesterday in New York City. So we probably need to take a look at that and see what people are doing or whatever.
Well, yeah, and there was one in Maryland as well, and they took out a poll with that one. So driving is an issue, and we'll take that under consideration.
The other thing I think that I would like to have safety look at is with the marijuana being legalized, to see if we can help our departments come up with a policy. I have a member of our department that just moved here from Washington State where it's legal, and I will forward to you, Larry, the policies that he sent to see if that's something that we can try to use as a template.
Very good. That's what we need is challenges. Thank you.
You know what else I'm seeing a lot of? Ambulance theft. which still can kind of fall under safety, but maybe
Mhm.
elsewhere, but just kind of bringing it out. There's been one in Colorado, one in Florida, and I think they were doing a chase in Dallas today, I saw somewhere.
Mark, SEMSCO and CMAC.
Other than what Ann's discussed as far as the protocols, which I have not heard anything as far as the commissioner approving them, the next CMAC and SEMSCO meeting are the 25th and 26th of May. The committee meetings are on the 25th, and the CMAC and SEMSCO are on the 26th. John will be forwarding links and the information for those meetings when they come available. And unless anybody has any other questions, I don't have anything else to add.
CIC certificates and stuff.
Next is training and ed, Paul.
Nothing to report at this time, Deb.
Okay, so under training and ed, let's go ahead and talk about the Clarkson course sponsorship. Ann had sent that out to the committee for review. I had sent back a few comments. Mark Tuttle sent something and said he had nothing to add and he could support it. So at this time, I would like a roll call vote on approving Clarkson to get their course sponsorship. They're applying at the EMT level. They put together a 3- and 5-year plan with the hopes of doing advanced in the future. But Clarkson is very committed to this, is spending the funds to get new equipment and supplies that is needed for the program, and are very eager to help St. Lawrence County develop a very robust program and help us get providers out in the field. So Jonathan, if we could do a roll call vote, please, unless anybody has any questions on approving Clarkson as a course sponsor for St. Lawrence County.
Paul Barter.
Yes.
Mike Bennett. Karen Blackburn.
Yes.
Mark Dalton.
Yes.
Mark Severs.
Yes.
Larry Gerard.
Yes.
Paul Lehman. You're muted, Walt. I saw your mouth move.
Yes.
Josh Levesque.
Yes.
Robert McKenzie.
Yes.
Jonathan Mitchell is a yes. He's in dispatch, but he says yes. Carol.
Yes.
Lance.
Yes.
Dave Sherman.
Yes.
Bobby Simpson.
Yes.
Debbie Singleton.
Yes.
Ron Smith.
Yes.
Dottie Suter. Yes. Mark Tuttle.
Yes.
Bruce Wright.
Yes.
Matt Yelton.
Yes.
That's 20 yeses.
Awesome. Carol, could you mute your phone
get her.
again, please? Thank you. Very good. I will sign the one page that needs to be signed from the region. It is Ann's understanding they're just waiting for our vote tonight to get that, so we'll get that sent in tomorrow and get that taken care of. County reports. Jefferson County, Paul.
Well, we continue to stay pretty busy. Our spring classes are still underway. Our advanced class will be finishing up in June. Our original basic classes in tiers and public health will be ending up here shortly in May. The Clarkson group is getting close to their end point. We still have our high school course going on at South Jefferson High, being done there at South Jeff. And our governor class has completed. Kudos go out with sincere appreciation to Melissa and Mark Devers, well, Melissa Brooks, sorry, and Mark Devers for going through all the hurdles and basically doing that class virtually. It was quite a challenge with that and getting all the practicals accomplished or the skills throughout the St. Lawrence County area. So they put a lot of work into that and really deserve a lot of credit. So moving forward, we have at least at this point, some tentative classes for the fall. Basic, original, and refresher will be starting in August at Public Health in Watertown, and Search and Rescue in Lowville is also made intention of doing another basic and original course up there. Planning on also doing a paramedic refresher if the numbers support that. We have a CIC CLI instructor update that is approved. It's been sent out through the program agency for all those CICs and CLIs. That is being held on April 20th. And it is going to be done virtually as well as in person. To my knowledge, and maybe I think Chris is on the air there somewhere. I think we had quite a few people have signed up for that already. So for anybody that is in need of some educational hours as well as a state update, this is a course app is included in this one, so you'll fulfill that requirement. The Herkimer program continues to move along. Actually, this current cohort is in their the last phases or the last components. They're doing their ACLS and PALS, so they're moving along quite well. We continue to be quite active with the COVID vaccination clinics. I want to send out my appreciation to all of our EMS providers that have been coming into these very large clinics. There are some of you on the line right now, and your participation and assistance has been greatly appreciated. Last week alone, we put over 3,000 vaccines into arms last week. This week, according to the email I got a few hours ago, we're going to be doing about 1,200 this week. So those folks that are coming out and volunteering their time is greatly appreciated. Chris and I completed our second dose vaccine for our first responders over the weekend on Saturday. And again, a couple people on the line here that participated with that, and their help was greatly appreciated. So as far as I could tell, we got the last 80 of our first responders who had been having difficulties getting their vaccines. We have our monthly meetings that we've been trying to do with that second Wednesday of each month. The last one needed to be canceled because of the vaccine clinics. They've been quite busy. So we are planning on one hopefully in the upcoming future. We're still involved with our Fort Drum partners for their mass casualty drill that will be in May. The next prep meeting is actually on the 14th of this month. I have to this point have not received our EMS scratch rate for March as of today. But overall, the numbers don't look too bad. We've got a couple of agencies that were having some issues, but they have been addressed pretty well. Our EMS advisory board is still moving forward. Everybody has been approved by our legislative board, and they have been sent out their letters to have them certified and returned. And I guess the big one that we're working on is, Ann has alluded to a little bit earlier, we are actively involved with the community paramedicine program. We have about 5 agencies that have been discussing working collaboratively together. At this point, South Jeff has been approved by the state and have already been tasked earlier today to get out into some of the migrant workers, which is a very high need. In addition, I believe Tiers and Indian River are very near their completion of their application. And I will give a shout out to the state because they are really turning these applications around very quickly. So we're getting a lot of support from the state on these applications. So that's basically all I had.
Anybody have any questions for Paul on his Jefferson County report? Okay. Jonathan, St. Lawrence County.
So Jonathan's dispatching right now. He had to cover a dispatch position. In the chat, he said nothing significant in St. Lawrence County other than the exciting opportunity for Clarkson to be a course sponsor. Please reach out to him if anyone has any questions or comments by email or the chat. From Jonathan Mitchell.
Very good. Bob McKenzie, Lewis.
So not much going on in Lewis other than just catching our breath from the COVID. Individual agencies are still doing their CMEs. Thanks to all agencies for their continued dedication to EMS and embracing the air medical opportunities that have been out there, as well as the state opportunities. Lewis County General has had a retirement of Nick Hanno after 28 years. He was the charge nurse at Lewis County General ER. No official announcement has been made as to his replacement. However, there's some rumor going around, and if that individual does end up getting that position, it's going to be a welcome change. He's definitely going to be a good fit. When that is announced, we'll be requesting them to be active in the Lewis County EMS Council as well. We're looking to resume our EMS meetings as the county COVID numbers remain low. And I got a report today that approximately 9,000 people have had the vaccine countywide, which when you consider the total population of Lewis County, that's a pretty good number. We're going to be transitioning to smaller clinics, and of course, they'll still be requesting some EMS assistance for the clinics. Huge thank you to all the agencies who did the standbys for all the clinics. It was very much appreciated. And as requested earlier, I will see to it that the EMS awards will be posted at Lewis County General as requested. End of report.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Bob on Lewis County's report? Okay. John Morrissey, how about a state report? Are you there, John? Maybe he had to step away. We'll come back. So the voting for secretary ended up at a 10-10 tie. So Jonathan, when we're done with this meeting, he will send out a poll for you to vote for one of the two folks. So those that were in attendance tonight will be getting that poll. And I'd like to ask that you do it by the close of business tomorrow so that we can announce who our secretary is. I'd appreciate it if you would do that in a timely manner and get that back out. So you will see a poll from him to do that. Next thing I have, John, let me know when you're available to give your report. I can stop my stuff. Under old business, difficult airway contract. So if you recall, a few years ago, we chose to spend money with First Airway LLC to have difficult airway, and we sent some folks to get the training. We have 4 people in the region that are still in our region as instructors: Ann Smith, Paul Barter, Mark Devers, and Justin Astafan. We have not renewed that because we didn't do anything last year. So they are looking for us to renew the contract. The fee is $1,200, and what they are going to do is they would do a Zoom airway course where they would have our folks get credentialed by helping teach that class, and that would get them back to the ability to teach. So that cost to us would be $1,200. They also have lowered the fees have been lowered from our license has gone from $55 a person to charge down to $25. For the fundamental airway management, it has gone from 75 down to 50 for the EMS course, and the Essentials Advanced Airway has gone from 55 down to 25. They have also worked with us to lower the number that we have to do in a year. Let me find that page of the contract. So they have lowered that number from 40 down to 25. And the 25 is over all 3 courses. It's not just one. So between the 3 courses, within a year, we need to do 25 people. So we need to discuss this. I would like Mark Devers as the chair of the RSI to give some input into this, but we need to decide what we want to do here so that either we're doing the contract and I'm notifying them of that, or I'm letting them know that we're not interested in maintaining that contract. So, Mark?
So, for starters, to participate in the RSI program, providers are required to have a supplemental airway class. As a whole, there's no specific class that we chose other than we accept this one, we will provide this one, the difficult airway class. If agencies or providers attended another class and would like to get it approved, we would entertain approving that through REMAC based off of the curriculum, etc. As a whole, I think that this class it's a great class. It provides a lot of solid information. It spends a lot of time on skills, and should really improve first pass success. It has not always been well attended. Some of that I think is possibly because of the price. That being said, I would also offer to this committee as a whole that we get education in the Tri-County area a lot cheaper than the rest of the world, and the direction that EMS is going, people are going to need to start paying for education in a way. but really, I personally think it's a great class. I really think that everybody who's credentialed to intubate within the region should actually be required to take it, but that's my own opinion. And I think it provides valuable education to the providers within the region, and opens up RSI to agencies that would not otherwise have the ability to meet the requirements of it. However, it is expensive to maintain the course sponsorship. It is expensive to maintain the instructors. And if people are not going to be taking the class, then we should also, weigh that as far as in the decision.
Mark, is there a minimum number to hold a class?
I do not believe there's a minimum number off the top of my head. Ann or Debbie would be better at answering that question. However, it is a 2-day class. It is a full 2 days, and the more the merrier. I would love to see classes of 20 people, because it is a, with all 4 instructors at the class, it is very much so a labor-intensive 2 days.
The contract states that we should achieve a hands ratio of 1 to 6. They will accept 1 to 8, but their goal is a 1 to 6 ratio. Input from folks, what do they want to see?
What's the minimum requirement for instructor status with this course?
Oh, I don't even remember. We sent these folks away. They were gone, a Friday night, a Saturday, and a Sunday.
Were all of the folks that sat through the initial instructor training paramedics that could be RSI credentialed at that time?
Well, none of them could be at that time because we didn't have an RSI policy completely in place with what had to happen.
Were they paramedics?
Well, Ann was not at the time. Ann went as a CC, but Ann is a paramedic now.
Does Ann qualify under our current policy as a RSI provider?
You have to have two providers in order to do RSI, and you have to have video laryngoscope available.
You have to have 2 providers in REMAC, or is that statewide?
So that's based on the policy, Mark.
I thought that was,
policy,
but it may have changed.
The
no,
policy
that's
requires 1 RSI
one.
credentialed paramedic and a second person credentialed to intubate.
However, the RSI credentialed provider has to be a paramedic in the region for at minimum 2 years.
Right, and so I guess I'm trying to figure out what relevance.
So my question is, what qualifies an individual that was not a paramedic originally to be qualified as an instructor?
Because the course is not an RSI course. Airway course.
If I may interrupt just a little bit, probably other than Paul Barter as a senior paramedic instructor, I think you're confusing 2 different things. The RSI program that the North Country REMAC has now graciously approved chose this particular difficult airway course as a prerequisite to be credentialed as RSI. So teaching that course has nothing, literally, you could teach the difficult airway course, without ever being a credentialed RSI provider in the North Country region.
So who's evaluating skills proficiency if the 4 instructors are?
That's Dr. Delaney. Dr. Delaney has chosen in our region, she is going to, her or her designee, basically her or another, and I can tell you this 100% because many years before Mark Devers took over driving the bus, if you will, for RSI in this region, I drove the bus. It's been a work in progress for probably 6 or 7 years. I was one of the originators in collecting much of the data. I did a study back in the late 2000s, and Dr. Delaney or her designee, which is going to be another physician of her preference, is going to be the individual who does the credentialing. So your skill performance, if you choose to be an RSI paramedic in this region, is going to be in front of Dr. Delaney or another physician. And that's her prerogative as the regional
Absolutely,
medical
as it
director.
should be.
Right. So, I mean,
Mark, the $1,200 fee is the instructor audit that has to be done with these 4 to get re-credentialed. So they have to teach the course and demonstrate the skills in front of a person from First Airway to get their re-credentialed back. And that's what that fee is for them to have somebody on auditing those 4 instructors.
So Debbie Singleton, so if one of these 4 are not currently credentialed or was not originally credentialed as a paramedic, as an instructor, or a cleared RSI provider, how can he, she, or they maintain RSI instructional status?
It's not RSI instructional status. It is difficult airway instructional status. It's difficult airway. It's nothing about RSI in this difficult airway course. It's being the instructor to teach folks how to handle the difficult airways.
But it's part of the RSI program.
It is a supplemental class as part of the RSI program, in the same way that you don't need any real credential to teach ACLS, other than to be a certified instructor for it. This program is separate from the RSI program. It is simply the course that the REMSCO approved for us to offer as the supplemental education. Again, an agency or an individual is more than welcome to attend or bring in their own RSI education. The caveat to that is it would need to be approved by REMAC.
Thank you, Mr. Devers.
So what is the preference of this council? I need somebody to make a motion one way or the other, even a motion to renew our license agreement.
Debbie, I'll make a motion that we renew our agreement with Difficult Airway.
We have a motion from Lance Ronas. Lance, can I just change it to say it's the First Airway LLC is the name of the company that we're doing it with, and there's 3 different difficult airway courses that they offer. So Lance has made a motion. Do we have a second?
Add Mark Tuttle. Or Dave Sherman, okay.
Second from Dave Sherman. Could we please have a roll call vote, Jonathan?
For clarification, Mike Bennett here. Are all three considered prerequisites for the region, or is there one particular course that was approved?
Thank you,
The
Mike.
other two courses, there's one that's BLS geared, and I'm not sure about the third one. The difficult airway management class for the advanced provider is the one that is required for RSI credentialing, or is what we are providing for RSI credentialing.
I think let me read this because I may have misspoke. So train a minimum of 25 individuals per year in the difficult airway course. EMS Essentials of Advanced Airway Management or Fundamentals of Airway Management. So there's two different courses, either the difficult airway course or the advanced airway or the fundamentals of airway management. And combined, we have to teach 25 people within 1 year.
Have we taught 25 people in the past 2 years?
The number used to be 40.
Have we taught 40 or 25 in the past 2 years?
We didn't teach any last year, Mark, because of COVID.
Okay, in 2019 or 2018, how many have we instructed?
We just got it in 2019, and Mark Devers, do you remember how many we did?
Hang on, I'm trying to pull up the records quick.
So well,
And I think it's right around 40 people between the group in Watertown and the group in Canton. But that was, again, was part of the problem, is we could not get enough students to run the class. So we ended up having to cancel I think it was 2 classes.
So what I'm understanding is we have to teach 25 ALS and or BLS providers to maintain that credentialing with this price point, correct?
That is correct.
Is there a fee associated with this class outside of the recredentialing?
Yes, and they've lowered that amount for us as well.
Is that down to 25?
It used to be for the difficult airway course. It used to be, let me find it used to be $75, and they have lowered it down to $50. For the Essentials of Advanced Airway Management, it used to be $55, and they have lowered that to $25. For the refresher, they've lowered that to 25 from 45.
So there are other fees associated with the course that make it cost more. For example, the book requirement, the airway cards that are required, the student cards. If you have to reserve a room, there's a few supplies like pig trachs and gloves, which we actually had to purchase. And again, so on 8/11, so those are all additional costs that, and then if there's food to be offered, since it's a 2-day course, that adds to the cost. So when we figure out the cost of a course is based on what it's going to cost to offer. I will tell you, all 4 instructors have volunteered all of their time, not only to go get credentialed, but to offer all of the courses that have been offered in the North Country. They are not receiving an instructor fee. But that's why the cost is more. Now that they have lowered the cost of the cards, that may lower it a little bit.
And this is an annual certification that needs to be redone by every provider?
Bruce, I believe it's every 4 years, but don't quote me on that.
I'm
No, the
looking.
course is not annual.
Okay.
I was under the impression that this is requiring annual recertification with quarterly skills review. And if we've just finalized this process within the region, what if we don't meet the deliverable of having 25 providers sitting and completing the instruction?
The quarterly and annual re-verification, re-qualification, whatever you would like to call it, is a regional requirement of the RSI program. The advanced airway course, I agree with Mark Devers, I believe is a 4-year recommended renewal date. Just like ACLS is recommended to be renewed every 2 years, the airway course, I believe, is every 4.
Thank you, Paul.
I can't find in here how often it says. This contract's 14 pages long, and I just not finding that right off the top here.
So must this region instruct 25 providers annually, or are we in breach of contract?
If we don't do 25, we would be in breach of contract. That is correct. And they could take away our ability to teach in the next year.
Which then compromises the RSI program in its own totality?
No, what it would mean is people that wanted to get their RSI would have to travel other places in the state and find an accredited program that the REMSCO would accept. I'm sorry, that the REMAC would accept, and they would have to cover those costs on their own, or the agency would have to.
Thank you, Debbie.
Debbie, as part of that 25, is it the refresher course as well?
Yes.
So based on that, I know we're getting close to the first group needing probably to have their refresher class coming up. So that was a group of about 24 right there in itself. If I remember that first class right, I think we maxed it out at 24. So I think in general, as long as they've reduced the numbers down and we can use the other courses as criteria to meet the 25, I don't see that as much of a challenge as trying to do just the difficult airway. Because if they're saying we can put on a BLS class, then we could try to put one of those together as well, and you get a lot more BLS responders that might be willing to take a more in-depth airway course, and that would help fulfill that 25 requirement.
So I believe.
Can I also point out that this course, BLS and ALS, are all usable for core recertification requirement stuff. So, that's another thing that's another plus as more and more people move to the CME thing. Mark Dalton, I think the key thing you need to understand here is this. The REMAC set this as a priority to be done, and they chose the certification staff. There's nothing that says the instructors have to be eligible to teach or be RSI qualified at the end of this course. They're coming in to teach. I have many people who teach ACLS and PALS who aren't credentialed to work in a pre-hospital care environment or a hospital environment for that matter. So again, I think the certification versus qualifications to teach programs are two very different things, and just something you ought to keep in mind.
I think we had a motion. I don't know who made that. I think it was Lance. renew the contract, and I believe maybe Dave Sherman seconded that. If there aren't any further discussions, I will ask Jonathan to do a roll call vote.
Paul Barter,
Yes.
Mike Bennett,
Yes.
Karen Blackburn,
Yes.
Mark Dalton,
Yes.
Mark Sievert,
Yes.
Larry Gerard,
Yes.
Walt Lehman,
Yes.
Josh Levesque,
Yes.
Robert McKenzie,
Yes.
Thank you. Carol,
Yes.
Lance,
Yes.
Dave Sherman,
Yes.
Bobby Simpson,
Yes.
Debbie Singleton,
Yes.
Ron Smith,
Yes.
Dottie Suter. Dottie's a yes. John Mitchell's a yes. Mark Tuttle,
Yes.
Bruce Wright,
Yes.
Matt Yelton.
Yes.
20 yeses.
Thank you. Moving on. Spring fling, I put / fall frolic or frolic. So we have reserved the Edgewood for October 21st to the 24th with the hopes of trying to have a conference. We had discussed last time, maybe not doing lecture, but doing hands-on. This was the list that I had. I heard from a couple folks. So we were looking at perhaps an MCI drill, doing some ICS courses, CPR instructor or CPR courses, coaching the emergency vehicle operator, maybe some deer heart dissections, 12 lead training, secondary assessments, TXA, MCI/start triage, auto extrication, and service dogs. So in talking with Janine, she's very excited and anxious to get us there. She missed seeing everybody last year, understands why we can't meet in April, and recognizes we're tied to the state as far as mandates with the numbers. She is concerned about the cost of food because she has seen a dramatic increase in food prices and wanted to bring to our attention that we may not be able to do the caliber of the meals that we've done in the past, depending on what food prices might be. So what I'm looking for from this council is, do we want to try to proceed and do a hands-on type setup? Do you want to scrap it all together? What are the thoughts on what people would like to see?
Debbie,
Go ahead, Dave.
Debbie, I'm sorry. What was the date we were looking at?
10/21 to 10/24.
Okay, so potentially we could have it. All right. That was my first question. I'd like to see us try to do a hands-on. That's my opinion.
I also would like to see a hands-on, but is that going to start getting close to vital signs as well?
Vital signs is in November down at Saratoga. And right now they're saying they're going to have live as well as virtual. And that's why I was trying to stay away from lectures and looking at trying to do some hands-on instead to give folks that discipline side that my thought was people are going to need for CMEs, and hopefully by then we would know the status of some new protocols that we could, do that training and things like that and offer that.
I think that's a very good idea, actually, Debbie.
I agree. That's a good idea.
Bobby, I think, did you want to add some input?
My question was just vital signs is usually Halloween weekend, so.
Nope, it's not this
they
year.
changed
It's
it. So I
Yeah.
got, my question was answered.
So just a quick reminder from last meeting, in order to, potentially get vendors for this, and we need to get things moving fairly rapidly to get this through our EMS scanning, unless we're gonna scrap using that. At which time we would need volunteers to, do the stuff that EMS scanning does for us. And secondly, if something happens and the program does end up getting canceled, anybody who has registered for it may be charged a fee for cancellation through EMS scanning if we're utilizing them, just for your information. They waived it when we canceled before, but they may not do that again.
One thought with the EMS, with the scanning, this is going to be a little different in that the numbers are going to be more controllable, small groups and so forth, that maybe just traditional rosters might work a little easier for this. Just a thought.
Yes, I agree, but the other thing the EMS scanning does is give us the ability to accept credit card payments, and help us track our registration, do our badge certificates, create our certificates, and send them all out. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of what kind of goes into the process. With everything else that's going on right now with this data initiative, we're just so you're aware.
And I can attest firsthand the amount of time it saves having people register like that and generate all that. When you have to do it manually, it really is a problem. You'd be surprised the number of people that can't add when they add up their thing for how many days they're coming and what the cost is, and having it be with EMS scanning, it automatically does that. So that saves a lot.
Makes total sense to me, guys, and it just was a flash of thought there.
What's the price on EMS scanning?
So there was an initial setup fee, which they have never charged us since then. And, again, if we go back, I don't think they'll charge us that initial setup fee. But it was like less than $5 a provider, I believe. And then they would keep anybody who paid with a credit card.
3.5% on credit cards.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do pay, a lot of agencies do pay by credit card. When we didn't have that ability, it really impeded us trying to get checks, the checks in the mail story. We would hear that a lot.
I mean, you can look at other systems to get the ability to pay with a credit card. But again, this is a full service system that gives us a lot of other benefits as well. And as a REMSCO, you purchased all the scanners that we have.
I think with as stressed as everyone is already, I would assume that it would probably be best to go with the EMS scan.
It
would save a lot of labor.
I just wanted to throw that out there too, because that is.
And just food for thought too is we could adjust our prices so that it would more eat that 3.5% too. That's something also you could think about.
I think if we're going to move forward, use the system with a disclaimer that if should something be canceled, there is a potential that there could be a cancellation fee, and just move on.
Something else that comes to mind for me is that, we're talking about doing a lot of practical stations and stuff like that is, we need to make sure that, most of the people that show up at Spring Fling or whatever are looking for hours. So we need to make sure that, we have a way that everything is approved So if you're going to go out and do a vehicle extrication, people are going to get X number of hours credit for that because that's what they're there for. You know, they aren't there well, there's a lot of camaraderie and stuff like that, but they're there for the hours. That's why there's people sitting in the back row, you know, checking their phones and everything else. As long as they're in the room and they get credit for their hours, they're happy.
Well, and my thought was getting away from doing the lecturing was the state, and we already heard it from our two air medical services have offered such great free training this year that I don't think that people need as many hours. They've lowered the amount of hours you need for CMEs. They gave everybody another year on their cards. And with all these things, you know, new things that are coming out, and would it be a great time to help get people that, but there's no reason, Larry, that we can't accredit each class with so much hours for what it is. The deer heart dissection, they can go under cardiac, you know, 12 leads can go under cardiac. So I think we can still offer that, but it's just a whole different form. It's not going to be as much lecture and it's going to be more hands-on, which is what people have commented in the surveys from years past that they would like to see more of that. It's just going to be a little bit of a challenge for us to figure out how to set it up and make it work effectively.
Exactly.
And to make sure the budget that we're breaking even. We don't want to make a profit on it. But again, when you're doing hands-on, it's more instructors to less providers, you know, less potential participants because the class sizes will have to be limited. So we'll have to watch the budget carefully. And again, if things go astray, we don't have the cushion that we used to have.
And we'll have to watch the budget, and we may not be able to offer the snacks, all the snacks like what we've done in the past at breaks. You know, we may have to cut back on that a little bit. Obviously, popcorn is cheap. We can continue that, but we may have to cut back on the morning snacks, and we may have to cut back on the meals that we do type stuff based on what numbers are looking like.
I would recommend curtailing that stuff into your sponsorships, your vendorship stuff, Debbie. That was kind of the trending direction right before COVID, was a lot of sponsorships were starting to lean towards like meal sponsorships or bronze level or presenter sponsorships and so on and so forth. So and that's kind of where we've started to go with our webinar stuff. To believe it or not, yes, we offer it at no cost to the people taking the educational opportunities, but our speakers and the logistical stuff still all costs us money. So I do reach out to sponsors and give them the specific things that they're sponsoring, like a speaker, the program we're using to do the registration stuff, so on and so forth. So I mean, if everyone really is vested in giving this opportunity in October, my suggestion would be to start rolling towards sponsorships now and break it up in such a way that someone is a presenter sponsor while the next person is a, you know, meal and snack sponsor and something like that, because these companies, these marketing companies are out there starving for opportunities to get their branding out there. We've had over a year of dormant time where we haven't been able to sponsor things. So, you know, things like Zoll, EMS charts, the combination there, golden hour, stuff like that would be my suggestion.
Yep. And that's why, you know, we're saying we need to decide tonight. You know, I brought this up at the February meeting. That's why we're saying we really need to decide tonight, because it sounds like it's a long ways off and we don't want to think about October because we haven't had our 2 weeks of summer yet, but we got to get moving on this in order to make this a success.
Just a personal opinion, Debbie, you feed us way too much anyways. We can't barely stay awake by the time lunch is over with. So just back it down. I think we'd be all right.
So if there's no more discussion, I'm looking for a motion to either proceed with a change to our conference, going to a hands-on with those dates, or a motion to can it for 2021 and look at next year again.
Let's be optimistic. I'll make a motion to go on.
I'll second it.
Lance.
Jonathan, could we do a quick roll call vote just so that we can make sure that we hear from everybody?
Yep, hold on. Paul Barter,
Yes.
Mike Bennett,
Abstain.
Karen Blackburn,
Yes.
Mark Dalton. Not here anymore. Mark Devers,
Yes.
Larry Gerard,
Yes.
Walt Lehman,
Yes.
Josh Lebeck,
Yes.
Bob McKenzie,
Yes.
Jonathan Mitchell is a yes. Carol,
Yes.
Lance,
Yep.
Dave Sherman,
Yes.
Bobby Simpson,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Ron Smith,
Yes.
Dottie Suter. She's a yes. Mark Tuttle,
Yes.
Bruce Wright,
Yes.
Matt Yelton.
Yes.
19 yeses, 1 abstention.
Very good. We'll start working on it. If anybody is interested in helping, please reach out to me. This is going to be a little new setup, and there's going to be a lot that needs to be done. So actually, Jonathan, why don't we, I'll work with Jonathan. We'll get a survey out to see who's interested, and I'll list the topics I came up with and see if anybody has anything else. And then we'll ask people that may be interested in working on a specific topic and setting that up to do it that way.
Question on this. What will it cost us if we have to cancel this, let's say, in September?
It won't cost us anything for Edgewood, but Ann said she doesn't know if there will maybe be a cost associated with canceling the online scheduling that we use, the software to schedule. There may be a cost associated with that. However, we just indicated we'll put that in the brochure that people would be responsible for that. So hopefully there would be minimal cost to us.
All right.
Other old business, first responder agencies, EPCR timeline. If you recall, we approved sending a letter after the last meeting with that very short timeline. And from the communications I saw, ours wasn't the only letter that they got, and they did move that. So I think people were very happy with seeing an opportunity to, spend a little bit more time researching and determining what they want to do. John, are you there where you can give your report?
Yes, Deb, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, a couple of things quick because the hour's getting late, so I'll be very quick. For those of you who don't know, Mike Bogozzi out of our office is handling all the statewide community paramedicine approvals. Reach out to Mike directly if you got associated other issues with that, whatever. One of the things that's coming up is there's some misconception about vaccines and what's the responsibility for the EMS worker and the EMS agency. The EMS service is specifically required under Part 800 to maintain vaccination status of its employees. That is a requirement. If they choose not to supply the information, you can't beat it out of them, but basically you should be making an effort to keep track of people's vaccination status in terms of going through things. Yes, vital signs is upcoming. We're hedging our bets with it. As you guys just went through this conversation, a couple of staff meetings have gone through. We're going to plan to both have a virtual event and a on-site event. The housing is opened up for that, and we're hoping the pandemic will be such that we'll go. If not, our backup plan is the virtual conference, the way we've done it in the past. Other than that, we're busy with supporting about 50 ambulances statewide, and a number of immunization, a couple hundred people out doing immunizations, EMS workers statewide daily, and things are quite busy, as you can well imagine. There is controversy whether or not we're going to have another wave of surge here or not. Clearly, because the vaccines are working well, thank God. Hopefully, if we do, it won't be as bad as the ones we've had in the past. Any questions, feel free to contact. Thank you. End of report.
Thank you, John. Is there any other old business? New business, and the bulk drug purchasing, do we want to go over that?
I mean, I can provide the survey results. I know that Jonathan had them. I'm not sure if the committee's had a chance to work on that.
So we're not ready to do anything on that at this point then. Any other new business from the floor?
Debbie, I just have one quick thing. It's Mark.
Go ahead.
There's been a little bit of talk about the vaccine program. And John, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. This is kind of a precursor to community paramedicine, and I would just strongly encourage any agency that, you know, really has even the thought of possibly doing it to submit, you know, the policy and the application. It's all templated. Jonathan and myself will be more than gracious to provide you with the information for it. Debbie, I'm sure would too. But really, as an industry, we need to show some interest in community paramedicine if that's a goal of something we want in the future. And this is definitely a precursor to it. So I really would encourage agencies to take the time to at least submit and show some interest in it.
Mark, thank you very much for that plug. One thing I need to just say and absolutely support and encourage agencies is Ryan has set a statewide goal of either like one agency, at least in each county, to be used and partner up with their county health departments. And yes, they can operate outside their normal CON boundaries with coordinating with the county health department. But the other thing I need to point out to you is when the commissioner's orders expire or are rescinded, whichever occur first, all these community paramedicine programs go away, and we're back to kind of the same legislative environment we've been in the past in terms of getting this approved in the future. I agree with you, Mark, that this is a golden opportunity for us to prove the concept of community-based paramedicine, even if it's kind of an entry level here, because it's a whole bunch of other things beyond vaccinations, but I'll take what we can get. But I just need to mention that a lot of people assume now that they've got this designation that's going to be good post-pandemic. And it may well be, depending on what the ledge does. But at the moment, when the commissioner's orders expire, so does the community paramedicine as we know it expires, just so people are aware. Thank you.
Good point. Does anybody else have any new business?
Now, Debbie, I would just encourage folks to please help with Spring Fling and get on the committee when you send out the information, because I will, you know, it's going to be a challenge for us in October.
Yep. Any other new business?
I don't know if it's new business, but I'll be brief. The radio system is again making progress. There was a hang fire there between the county and the vendor. They're working on improving paging, and we can probably see something this summer in terms of implementation of the system. So that's the latest I have on that.
So our next meeting is scheduled for June 15th. As I stated prior when we were talking about CONs, if we do get some CONs in, We will have to perhaps meet before then if it's deemed complete to vote on that. So watch for those emails. You're going to see an email from Jonathan tonight, a poll for the secretary. Please cast your ballot for that. And I will work with Jonathan and we will get something out on our upcoming conference, and we're going to have to come up with a name for it. So start putting your thinking caps on and see if we can come up with something clever to call it as well. So if nobody has anything else.
Debbie, we may also, so after the June meeting, our next meeting isn't until October. And if we're going, with so much going on, there may be a need for another meeting as well before October.
Yeah, we may need to meet at the beginning of September. You're right, Ann. We may have to meet in August or September, depending on where things are at in the state to see what direction we need to go in. Yep. I miss not seeing everybody in person. I miss not making the meal and us sitting together and being able to chat. So hopefully we'll be able to do that soon. So.
Yeah, now I got to go cook.
Yeah. Thank
I'll
you,
make a
everybody,
motion to
for your
adjourn.
time. Thank you, everybody, for your time. It's been a pleasure serving as your chair, and I will do it for 2 more years, and then it'll be time for somebody else to step up to the plate to take that endeavor over.
Thank you so much for doing it.
If
Thank you.
anything else, we'll let you go.
Say goodbye.
Good night.
Night.